Hi, in this video we'll talk about how to scrape data that loaded by AJAX requests, and one of the solutions to do it is to use Selenium WebDriver, but the Selenium is heavy thin and the scraping with it is a rather slow process. And today I would scrape AJAX driven website with the only requests library and BeautifulSoup library, and I will use the Steam store as an example. And first of all, I have to install the requests, BeautifulSoup and Lxml libraries. And in the Python script that I have created, first of all, I need an entry point. It's the if main block, and here I want to call the main function with a pass for a while. And now I want to make some research. I have opened the store steampower.conf site, and in the search bar I am inputting, let's say, crafting. And here in the sidebar I have a narrow by text section. Here I want to add the crafting tag, and I've got 779 games with a crafting tag. And this page is an infinite page. It means that when I'm scrolling down the content of the next pages is loaded automatically by some JavaScript code. And also when I'm hovering a mouse cursor over a game item in the list, the small window is showing up on the right side. And this window is also loaded by some JavaScript. And there are the title of the game, its release date, total users review, and user tags. And exactly this data I want to scrape and save to a CSV file. The title, the release date, quantity of reviews, and user tags. Let's look at the game item in the list. Right click, inspect. And here we can see that each game in the list is an A tag. And among its data I will not be able to find the release date or quantity of reviews. So I have to get the data from this appearing small window. In my Python script, first of all, I need a function that will perform requests to the Steam server. Let's define a new one. Let's say it will be the getHTML function that will take some URL address as an argument. And now I need to import the requests library. With the requests library I will send requests to the Steam server and get its responses. So in the most simple cases the function will do the following. I'm creating a new variable, the response variable, that will get the returning value of the get method of the requests library. And the required argument of the get method is the URL address to perform a request to. So the URL variable, this one, will be the first argument of the get method. The get method returns a response object. The response object has many useful attributes and contains all data I need. And I'll get the response object in any case, regardless how the server will respond. I mean, if the server will respond with a 404 not found error or 403 forbidden error, etc., in any case, I will get the response object. But I want the getHTML function to return the source code of the page only if the server will respond successfully. That's in the case when the server returns 200 status code, and otherwise I want to print the URL and the status code of the server's response. So if not response.awk, then I want to print out the status code the response awk is a shortcut for status code, and otherwise I want to return the response text. And the text property contains the HTML code of the page, of this page. And then I want to parse this HTML code with BeautifulSoup library. But before I do it, I need to decide what URL address I will pass into the getHTML function. So let's continue our research. I think that I can simplify the URL. I can delete all get parameters except tags that equals to 1702, because the tag with ID number 1702 is the crafting tag. And as you can see, the server responded successfully. I am scrolling down the page, and we can see that the URL address in the address bar of the browser is not changing. And how can we get URL addresses of other pages? So let's open the network pane of the inspector. Let's refresh the page. And to make a request to the server, I need to perform the actions I did before. I need to scroll down the page or to hover game item. So when I hover in the mouse over list item, we can see the get request was performed by jQuery library. Then I'm scrolling down the page, and we can see new requests to the Steam server. Let's click on the first, and here we can find out what parameters of the request was used by your browser. I need only request URL address here. I'm copying it to my script. And if we look at the request to get the small appearing window, the first one, we can see that it has different URL address. I want to copy it too. Then let's take this URL, this one, and copy it to a new pane. And we can see here all data of the appearing window. So let's change the ID of a game. I can get the ID of a game from its URL, href attribute, or there is data.ds app ID. Let's take from here and paste it here. And also I want to delete all get parameters of the request. And it works. And my plan is to get all games from the list, get their IDs and put them to such URL address, perform the request to the server and get the content, and then scrape it with BeautifulSoup. So let's start with getting all games. Let's move it here. To get all games, I need to make requests to all pages with games with a certain tag. And to do it, I need the first URL. So I'm taking this URL. As you can remember, I've got this URL from my first request when I'm scrolling the page, this URL. So, and in the main function I'm creating a new URL variable and I'm pasting this URL. And I want to simplify this URL address. I can delete dynamic data, sort by this SNR, and that's all. I just leave the start parameter, the count, tags, and infinite that equals to 1. Let's change the start parameter to 0 and the count parameter to 100 and test this address in the browser. The title of the first game is Ark Survival Involved. Okay, I think that we've got the first 100 results. And to get the next 100 of games, I have to change the start parameter. Let's change it to 100. And we can see that the title of the first game in this page is Colony Survival. So we know that total amount of games with this tag is 770. But how the server will respond if I'll make a request for games starting from 800 or any other number that exceeds the total number of games? So let's check it. The start equals to 800 and there is no games, there is no 8 tags. So I'm going to get a URL address of the next page with a while loop, and the while loop will change the start parameter by 100 until there is a content on a page. So let's write a code that will generate such URL addresses. And here in the main function I'm creating the start variable that equals to 0 initially, and also I want to insert the value of the start variable to the value of the URL variable. I want to paste it here. Start, and the string of the URL variable will be fstring. And now I'm starting an infinite while loop, while true. The while loop is infinite because I don't know how many pages will be in a case of a certain game tag. And here in the body of the while loop I have to check whether some condition is false or true. It's just a dummy, I'll change the condition a bit later. Actually, this condition is checking if there is a game A tag on a page or not. I mean, these A tags. I set the if condition to true explicitly just for a while, and inside the if clause I'm adding to the start variable 100. So on each iteration of the loop the start variable will be increased by 100, and then I'm overriding here the URL variable. So I just copy it here. Actually, I'm not overriding the URL variable that was defined in the global scope. I'm not overriding this URL. I'm creating a new URL variable in the local scope of the while loop, and the value of the URL variable will be overwritten on each iteration of the while loop. And I want to print the value of the URL variable. and if it will false, I want to break my while loop. And let's test it in the terminal, but I want to slow down the loop. So just for a while, from time import sleep function, and here on each iteration of the while loop I am calling the sleep function with a 0.3 of seconds. And let's start it. And we can see that the while loop generated new URL addresses. The first URL address, this one, with start that equals to 0, is from the global scope, this URL. It was defined outside of the while loop, and the second URL and further URLs was generated inside the while loop. Great. And now I need to call the getHTML function to get the response of the server and scrape its content on each iteration of the while loop. But firstly, let's create a new function that will scrape the content of these pages. I'm creating a new function, getGames, that takes HTML as an argument. And here I'm creating a new variable, the soup variable, that will be an instance of the BeautifulSoup class. So let's delete it. And let's import from BS4. I'm importing the BeautifulSoup class. So the soup variable is an instance of the BeautifulSoup class. The BeautifulSoup class constructor takes as the first argument the HTML code of a page. And the second argument is the parser that will parse the HTML code. I will use Lxml inside quotes, because it's a name of the parser. And the getGames function will find all games, all A tags, and return them in a list. Or if there is no A tag on a page, it will return an empty list. I am creating a new variable games, and here I'm using the soup variable, and I'm calling its findAll method. And I want to find all A tags. But I don't need all A tags on a page. I need only A tags with a certain href attribute pattern. I mean that all game items on the page has a link that starts with https://store.steampower.com/app/. And we can probably guess that all links on the page that starts with store.steampower.com/app are links to the games. And so I have to distinguish the links from other links on a page. And I think that it can be easily done with a regular expression. So let's import RE module, regular expression. And here the games variable is a result of the findAll function, and the findAll function will search for A tags with the href attribute that equals to, and now I'm calling the compile method of the RE module, and the compile function takes as an argument a regular expression that I want to define in the pattern variable. So my regular expression will be very simple. The character means the beginning of a string, and I want to get all links that starts with https://store steampowered.com app. And I am passing to the compile function the pattern variable. And that's all. This expression means that BeautifulSoup will find all AJAX that have the https://steampowered.com app at the beginning of its href attribute. And the findAll method will return a list. If the page contains such links, the list will be not empty. Otherwise, the findAll method will return an empty list. And this list, the games variable, I want to return to the caller of the getGames function. Return games. And now I want to use this behavior in my while loop here. But first of all, I am creating a new variable, all games. And it will be an empty list that I will extend with the games list, with this one, that returns me the getGames function. So in the while loop here, I'm creating the games variable that is a result of the getGames function. The getGames function takes as an argument an HTML. So I'm calling here the getHTML function, and I am passing into the getHTML function the URL variable. Then I know that if the page with this URL has needed AJAX, the games variable will be a non-empty list. Otherwise, the games variable will be an empty list. And as you know, empty lists Python treats as false and non-empty lists as true. So if the games list is non-empty, I want to extend the all games list with it. Otherwise, I want to break the while loop. And thus, if games, then we'll do this. We'll change the URL variable and the next request will be with different address. Otherwise, we'll break the loop. Okay, let's test it. I want to print the length of the all games list. Let's start my script. And offline while scanning string literal. I forgot here comma and bracket. Okay. It returned 0 results. Okay. Oh, I said that I will extend all games list and forgot to do it. So if games all games list extend by games list. Again. It's weird. I think that the issue with this argument. Let's delete it and test again. Okay, and I've got 663 games. It's weird, but I noticed some inconsistency of Steam search results. For example, the main page, games, see popular tags, crafting. I'm clicking on it and Steam suggests to browse all 662 results. Nevertheless, I got all these games. So, as the result to the moment, we have all games lists with the games AJAX, and each element of the all games list is a BeautifulSoup object. And to get data of the appearing small window, we have to perform a GET request to this URL, to this one. And I can delete all get parameters, and this link I will use. So all I need to perform a request to this URL address is to know the ID of the game. And how can I get the ID of a game? I think that there are at least two ways. So let's open the inspector. And the first one is to get href attribute of a tag, split this string by slashes and get the ID. Or the second one is just to get the value of the data ds_app_id attribute. And I think that the second way is simpler. So here I'm starting a for loop. And an ID of the game will be the game variable. Game is an object of the BeautifulSoup class, so I'm calling its get method, and I want to get the value of its data ds_app_id attribute. And that's all. And now I want to insert this ID to URL pattern, this one, and then parse the response. And I am defining a new function, dev get hover data, that gets an ID as an argument. And here I'm creating a new URL. It's an f string, and the ID variable will be inserted here. Then I'm getting an HTML of the page. I'm calling the getHTML function and passing into it the URL variable. And I'm creating a soup object. Let's open the inspector again. Here. And we can see that the title is the h4 tag with the hover title CSS class. So the title variable will be equals to soup. I'm calling the find method. I will find the h4 with a CSS class that equals to hover title. There is an underscore character because the class is the reserved keyword in Python. Then I need its text, and I want to strip it. But if the find method will not find the h4 tag, it will return none. And the none object has no text attribute. So I'll get the none type error exception, and that will break the scrapping process. And to prevent this, I have to use try except block. So I'm trying to get the title. Otherwise, the title will be an empty string, and I want to get the URL where it happens. Then the release date. It's a div block with a hover release, and there is a span. So soup find, I am looking for div with a CSS class that equals to hover release, and I am looking for span tag inside this div, and I'm using here the span attribute instead of find method. It's just a shortcut, and I want to get a text and strip it, otherwise the released will be an empty string, and I want to get the URL where it happened. Then I will get this string, and to get date I can split this string by colon and take the second element of the list. So here I want to split it first, split by colon, and I want the second element, maybe the last one, and I want to strip it. Then the reviews. The reviews, it's a div with a hover review summary, and I think that I need all text of all this div. So reviews raw will be equal to the soup variable. Then I want to find the div with the class hover review summary, and I want to get the text except and here I'll get this text. And you can probably guess that the value of reviews will vary from one game to another, and this comma can present in one string and can be absent in another. And also I need only digits, and I think that in this case it's convenient enough to use a regular expression again. And to validate my expression I want to use AJAX101.com. Python. Let's paste these strings as testing. Material. My regular expression will be very simple. I need all digits, so I'm using backslash and d. Backslash d means a digit, and I don't know how many digits a string will have. It may be 1 or maybe 10 digits, so I'm using the plus character, and plus means infinite quantity of digits. I think that's all. And as you know, try except block has optional else clause that's evaluated after the try clause. And the main idea of using the else clause in try except block is to keep the try clause clean and simple. So here else, and I'm creating the pattern variable \d plus, and then the reviews variable. And to find all occurrences of strings that fit to this pattern, we can use the find all method of the regular expression module. So find all, and the first argument of the find all method is what we're looking for. I am looking for all strings that fit to my search pattern, the pattern variable as a first argument. And the second argument is where we are looking for. I am looking it in reviews raw variable here, and otherwise I want to get the reviews as empty string. And the findAll method will return a list with the search results. And in the first case it will be a list with these two elements, 1 and 835, because the comma here is a separator. And to combine these elements of the list into a string, we can use the join method of strings. So I want to wrap it with the call of the join method of an empty string, and then I want to convert it to the integer, and that's all. And then I want to get user tags. And the user tags is the div block with the hover tag raw CSS class, and each tag is the div with the app tag CSS class. And there are many app tag divs. So to get them all, I have to use the findAll method. So tags raw will be soup find all. I'm looking for all divs with app tag CSS class. Okay, we got the list with the app tags divs, but I need only text of them. And to get the text, I want to use a list comprehension. So here I want to use again the else clause, and tags will be text. It will be a list where I want to get the text of each tag for tag in tags raw. And that's all. And I want to use a single string with all tags separated by commas. And here again I want to use the join method. So the text variable will be equals to comma space join text. And that's all. And now I want to pack all gathered data in a container, and it will be in dictionary. And here the title key will have the title. And at last I want to write the data dictionary to a CSV file, so I am importing here the CSV library and creating the right CSV function that will take the data dictionary as an argument. And to write something to a file, first of all I have to create a new one. So I'm using the with context manager. I'm calling the open function, and I want to open the result CSV file with a append flag, and I am saving this opened file object to f variable. And I want to use the dictWriter class, and to use it I have to define an order in which data of the data dictionary will be written to the results CSV file. So the fields variable will be a list with title, reviews, writer, Writer is an instance of the dictWriter class, and I am passing into its constructor the file object, the f variable, and the field names argument will get the fields variable as the value. And then I am calling its right row method and passing into it the data dictionary. And that's all. And here I'm calling the write CSV function and passing into it the data dictionary. And in my for loop, I want to call getHover data function, and I am passing into it the ID of the game. But I'm using here games, but I need to use here all games. Let's test it. It finished. I've got results CSV file. So that's all. If you like the video, please thumb up, share and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.